Hey everybody, Real the Lands UK, Matt and Ash here, just waiting potentially on Ant to join us. Hope you're all well on Victory Monday 1-0. We are. We'll get kicked off shortly, but we're just going to chat for a little bit to start. How you doing, man?
Uh, Doing okay. The staying up all night hit me about an hour and a half ago, but I should be able to troop on through, kind of like our offensive line during that overtime drive, churn through, and then hit the hay, get some good sleep to come back tomorrow to get ready for week two.
It was not the best night's sleep I've ever had. I think it was maybe 2 hours, which is not great given that I had given myself extra time in bed, but frankly, I was too happy and too hyped to sleep. So,
Yeah.
happy Victory Monday to all those who celebrate, and I can imagine it's probably most of the people viewing this at the moment. If you want a shout out, come say hi, much like David Reinfer and Experiment on Twitch. Happy Victory Monday to you both. And Lisa Di Lorenzo and Bob O'Lan on YouTube, although I can see there's plenty more of you in the chat. Come say hi. Let's have some comments from you. If there's anything that's really interesting that you guys have to say, we won't just answer it now, but we'll put it in the show when we start. So come and bring your takes for us. What did you think of the game? Some really great performances in there, some not so great performances, but there we go. Brent DeWitt's in the chat saying, howdy everyone, sorry I missed your live last night. Was a bit under the weather and ended up watching the game from bed. Oh, that sucks, Brent. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, at least they gave you something exciting to watch while you were in bed. Hope you're feeling better now, because that sucks. Oh, we've got a good show. Just recapping everything that happened last night. Did I mean last night? I do mean this morning when it comes to the UK, which really brings it home, unfortunately. But there we go. Work was... I feel better now than I did at work.
Yeah.
That's not saying much, but, you know, there we go.
But you didn't have the pain of having to watch that second half again.
I haven't yet watched it again, but I will wait for the All 22 and then I might try and stick that on.
Yeah.
Jason Adderley's in the chat saying rustiness for much of the game. O-line really showed up for OT. It did. I mean, it was quite weird because the offensive line didn't really appear to be doing badly, and yet Goff seemed to be under pressure, and the pressure seemed to be affecting him for quite a bit of this game. So I don't know whether that's just rustiness or whether it's regression. I don't think it is, but, you know, can't rule it out at this stage. And yet I don't think the offensive line had a bad game. So, odd. I don't really know what to make of Ash, to be honest.
Yeah, same. Like I'm looking now, and Goff was under pressure according to PFF 10 on 10 of his dropbacks. And yet, looking at their grades and that, he actually did better under pressure than he did when kept clean.
What?
Yes, under pressure. So I'm 31% of his dropbacks, 69.0 offensive grade. Nice. 64.3 passing, 63.9 running, 71.4 fumble. But when kept clean, 32.4 offensive grade, 34.4 passing grade, 75.6 fumble grade because he threw the interception when he was supposedly clean. Just tanked his grade, it seems.
Yeah, there we go. Hey to Madge, who's joining us from the Detroit suburbs. Glad you're here, Madge. Yeah, our good friend Ryan Farden had sideline passes yesterday and was saying hello to Mike Tirico, amongst others. I saw him have photos with. There was someone who posted in our chat who to my shame, I didn't recognise, but I didn't want to say because I'm sure it was probably someone famous. I just don't know who it is.
Which one?
The only photo that Ryan... Oh, no, actually, that's not true. The first one, so not TJ Lang. TJ Lang I recognised.
Yeah, well,
The one before we went live at 10 past 11 last night. It's probably someone really big from Lions history or someone from NBC, and I just...
yes, oh, yeah, to fair say.
Good. It's not just me. I did see another few pictures of him on Twitter. And I'm like, it must be someone really important, but I don't know. But yeah, he met TJ Lang, which is really cool. They don't look dissimilar, which is a bit weird. They genuinely look like... I think his caption was, I found my brother, and it...
Yeah, his long lost brother, yeah.
Slightly taller, slightly more well-built brother, perhaps. But there we go. Oh, man. Ant's confirmed he is coming on, so we're just going to hang on for him a moment. Bobby Lan said, shout out to Jack Fox for his work last night. Jack did have a cracking game.
That was one of my sneaky, like when we do the ups and downs, that was one of my sneaky ones.
Average punt for him yesterday was 57.5 yards.
Yeah. Well, it's partly because of that and partly because I think it was the field goal. Yeah, it was the field goal. The snap wasn't perfect. Watching it back, because I've watched it a couple of times, he had to adjust it and he did it just in time for it to sneak on through.
Lisa said Jack Fox is the GOAT of punters. He is the MV punter.
MV, well, yeah. What's he likes to call himself a FPOS, though. Field Position Optimization Specialist.
I don't like it, and I never have. Meh. I didn't actually see the fight between Jack Jones and Josh Palmer. Was it bad?
Not massive, like swinging punches. It was just them going at each other a bit.
Fair.
Wasn't great. Yeah, it's not exactly like you turn it on and it's them like properly duking out like Michael Crabtree versus Aqib Talib style. Miss those days.
Lisa said Caleb Williams was terrible. He wasn't great. But they won anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they won with 20 more yards than JMO got last night.
Hello, Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Hello all. How are we?
Oh, that's the voice of someone who's tired.
We're all tired.
Oh, how you doing?
I think I'm mentally, emotionally, and physically broken, and it's week 1 of the season. So, yeah, we're all gonna die this year at some point because if they carry on doing that,
yeah,
God knows how I would have felt if we'd have lost.
Oh,
staying up till 5:20 in the morning is acceptable when you win. When you lose, it's not. So I'm just glad that we won.
In some ways, I'm glad that I had work in the morning, because if I had actually managed to take it off, I would have been tempted to have just stayed up celebrating. Because when you're up at that time in the morning, it's like you might as well just carry on.
I mean, like last year.
Yeah, that was so good. I think I stayed up till 8 in the morning, just like.
I was running around Twitter trying to find Rams fans to hate on, and I'm like, you've got to go to sleep. You've got to go to bed. And I'm like, no, I don't want to.
Just a little devil on your shoulder going, keep going.
Yeah, it's the hate tour this year. But they were getting mouthy, so they needed putting in their place, and they were. So
they were. There was I saw someone who, when the schedule came out in mid-May, said only 122 days until we put the Lions in their place, and then just a reply now going, lol. Just simple.
I mean, I've just seen it before, and everyone's picking the Rams to it. You're just like, really? We're going through this again? That's kind of why I put the SpongeBob tweet up. It's like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson of doubting us? Like,
honestly,
keep doing it.
You had the same idea. I didn't do that. I went just went round, just posting that underneath each of them.
SpongeBob memes are so versatile when it comes to childishly, goading other people and teams and stuff like that. They're very good.
What really came to mind with all of that was the Jamal Williams post Green Bay quote of, with the Detroit Lions, stop playing with us. Like, you've seen who we are now. We don't need to tell you anymore. Like, get the fucking idea. It's really annoying now. Like, it's beyond a joke. Why?
It's like, what do you want? Everyone today going, oh, they were lucky to beat the Rams at home, who were injury prone and stuff like that. And it's like, please, we've just played our worst game of football in what, maybe 2 years, and we've beaten a playoff caliber team at home. Injuries be damned. We still beat you, and we've played awfully. 3 years ago, we'd have lost that game. We'd have had a 70 burger dropped on us in a game like that. Now we're winning them. So it's like, the bar just keeps moving. Oh, they can't win games. Oh, they can't win the NFC North. Oh, they can't win games dominantly every single week. No team wins games dominantly every single week. Oh, the Bengals lost to the Patriots. Like a lot of good teams lost this week.
Week one trips a lot of people up. And also, the people who want to talk about the injuries overlook some really key fucking stuff, which is Matthew Stafford is the most well-prepped quarterback in the NFL for dealing with a shit offensive line. Like, the most well-prepped quarterback to do that. So, if anyone could deal with that, it was him. And he did it well. And you're going up against one of the better, if not the best, tactical head coaches in the NFL. And I don't like saying that, but if you have a look at what their defense did to Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown, that's our offense in the main. Like, when we look at what we did last year, we want to say that we're a run team first and that we like to bully people that way. But realistically, we do a bit of that. But we actually do a lot of our damage through the air. And apart from 2 chunk plays to JMO, we did nothing through the air in this game and we still won.
Yeah, it's like it's what good teams do. Everyone bemoans the Chiefs for starting the season bad and playing back. No one whinges at them. Like, oh yeah, whatever. But we won. And we played a legitimately good team, not the Titans and Will Levis. So, we played a legitimately good side.
Oh,
so
halfway through that game, I thought my Titans take was really solid.
Now it looks incredibly bad.
It looks incredibly bad.
It looks incredibly bad.
I still think my Jacksonville take could come true.
I mean, losing on a walk-off to the Dolphins isn't bad on the road. So,
yeah,
it's not exactly an indictment. I mean, the AFC South is still questionable. So, I mean, not that bad. What did I do? They're 10-5 in the Pick Watch so far. So, I've done all right.
Ooh, I don't think my pick.
You're 10-5 you're 10-5 as well.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's better than I thought. Cool.
Everybody got screwed by the Bengals.
Yes. Yeah. No one was getting that right.
Screwed. A lot of people got screwed by the Vikings.
I think I probably picked the Giants, to be honest, which is a bit.
I think only one person picked the Vikings.
Really? That's crazy.
Out of our thing, maybe 1 or 2.
Okay, so the first 3 that were listed, I got wrong. I picked the Ravens, I picked Green Bay, and why did I pick Green Bay?
And you picked the Falcons, because I'm on there now.
See, the Ravens is not exactly a bad pick. Literally a toe. They lost that game by a toe. A literal toe. Like, you just can't help things like that. It's like, when you use that, like, fair play. But it was a toe. Anyone else who feels like the back of his foot came down in the end zone, I feel like that should be a legitimate touchdown. If the toe's over, screw the toe bin over, his heel came down in, 99% of his foot came down in the end zone, and that should be a touchdown.
Well, but the thing is, it's all technique, isn't it? Because if he just pointed his toes instead of trying to land with flat feet, it would be a touchdown. No, but you get
that
taught
catch trying to figure out where to put your feet when you're trying to make that catch in that play. That's difficult.
But the best players managed to do it. Maybe. It was an incredible catch, but yeah, anyway. We're having great conversation and we're not recording it, so maybe I should start. Hey to Mike the Marine and Det Fan Man as well. And SW Line 26, who I hadn't shouted out before. Jason Adderley saying all the Rams accounts are all bots. Unfortunately, some of them are very real. I mean, I think there's more Rams fans on Twitter than there are in the stadium. Because it was just... Rams and Chargers both, it is shameful how few fans they have. It's fucking shocking. The franchises need to move out of LA. I know they spent all this money on the stadium, but they don't care. LA doesn't care. St. Louis cares.
Well, I thought the Raiders were genuinely playing at home when I switched the game on yesterday.
Yeah, right. It was shocking.
It was like, they're just like, okay, they play. Like, that says it's in LA. I know it's in the grand scheme of things, it's probably one of the closest stadiums to Vegas, and it's probably not as far as some of the others are, but still, come on, have a bit of pride.
It was shocking.
Yeah, exactly. Oh dear.
Anyway,
I hope you're all right as well, Brent. I hope Michigan didn't hurt you that badly, Brent. So,
the man spent the weekend in bed.
I know, because Michigan got hammered. It's just
Everyone knew that they would get hammered, though.
I didn't think they had that badly. I thought it'd be close. I thought it'd be like a walk-off field goal or something. I didn't think that Texas pulling their starters in the third quarter was going to happen.
I mean, I took Texas -8, and obviously that came in pretty handily.
Like at the minute, Arch Manning's probably going to play more football than Quinn Ewers just because that far ahead in games early, the backup comes in for a bigger portion of the game than what the starters needed for.
Yikes. Yikes. Right. Should we get the show on the road?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Recording in progress.
Welcome to another edition of the Roar of the Lions UK podcast, episode 288, Truly Sublime in Overtime. My name's Matthew Turner, alongside Anthony Fitzpatrick and Ashley Soden. How you doing, boys?
Tired. Tired, but it's worth it, ain't it?
Ditto. Yeah. I just kind of I'm ruined in every which way, form, and shape. I've tried sleeping this afternoon. I'm still tired. But yeah, it's what we do. It's worth it. It's fun, and we only get it for so far of the year. So what's most important is we won.
Yeah, this is Victory Monday 1-0 Detroit Lions review show for the Rams game. Of course, the game finished about 5 a.m. local time here, so it's been a rough day for all of us trying to sleep and work and all that stuff. But we come to you now because it's Victory Monday and we need to do this, so here we are. We're just going to get some preamble done, talking about a little bit of news, not very much, and then we're going to get into the game and talking about the themes and what happened and concerns and happy stuff, and then talk about the rest of the weekend's games because a lot happened. But first, just a bit of preamble. Don't forget to join our Discord channel. It was a great place to be yesterday with the our peaks and troughs of what it is to be a Lions fan all condensed down into one place. The link's in the live chat right now. Do come and say hello. It'd be great to see you. And college football show. And I'm sure you have a lot to do this weekend because a lot happened.
Yeah. There are a lot of upsets. There were a lot of near upsets. There are not that many teams that are playing well at the moment. So there's a lot of fun this weekend. So yeah, we'll be going through all that. Yeah, I've got to start that up tomorrow. But yeah, good fun. Good weekend of football.
Please don't forget to like this episode and sub to the podcast. Anything you guys can do, much appreciated. It means a lot to us. And I think we've had another 50 subscribers on YouTube in the last week, which has been, really, really good for us. So please do that. We do notice, and it makes the world a difference. And don't forget to support our friends at Lions Nation Unite as well. Herman Moore's project to bring the best in Lions content creators together. And we're Twitch affiliated, YouTube monetized, and there's a tip jar down below. So if you're enjoying what you're listening to, then please do show some love in that way. But if all you can do is watch the show, then that is more than enough. We're really glad that you're here. Right, little bit of news, which is just that the Lions used up their spare space on the active roster to sign the defensive tackle Chris Smith to the active roster, and they also elevated defensive tackle Carl Pico and wide receiver Tom Kennedy for the game. And we'll just stop there. It was a surprise to see Chris Smith, I think, get signed to the active roster. Obviously, we know that DJ Reader was then subsequently ruled out. We kind of figured that Pico would be the replacement either which way. But they doubled up on the position, and then the wide receiver that was coming in was Tom Kennedy, and he was not one of the three that was mentioned that should be coming up. So, a surprise, guys, on both counts, and...
Yeah, I mean, I guess the plan was always, with Reader not being healthy and Levi, you're kind of not sure what you were going to get out of him to start with. I guess you wanted as much depth as you could get at D tackle just in case. I think it's an insurance policy, and rightly so as well. So, you know, it was surprising he's not played well at all in pre-season, but more bodies in there, a few snaps needed just to give guys a break. Fine. Kennedy, I mean, I guess that was it'll all have been schematic, right? I guess they will have had a job for him, a role for him in this game, and it's depth receiver position. We've got our main guys in there. We saw our main guys play. So, but the thing is, I think more than anything, he knows the system probably better than anybody. He's been here that long now, so it feels like a matchup orientated thing in regards here. So I'm not surprised about sort of whoever was left out. They bring guys in for a reason.
And just to get onto this before I go to Ash, because we talked about the inactives on the live reaction show that we did, but alongside Reader, the other inactives were Manu and Sorsdal, James Houston, Trevor Nowaski, Melifonwu, and Strickland. The safeties we knew about probably before. Reader was revealed beforehand. But having Sorsdal and Houston raise some eyebrows. Now, I had my own take on Houston and put it out there that I don't think that this is a necessarily bad thing for him personally, but there was a lot of smoke out there from beat writers and the public that, this is a terrifically bad time for Houston. And I mean, Sorsdal seemed to be repping with the twos as the swing tackles, so were you surprised by both of those?
Slightly. I mean, neither was going to really start. I don't know how much game time either was really going to see because, I mean, Davenport played a hell of a lot. So, again, I think you've got to play your matchups. Like I say, we needed an extra defensive tackle just because of the guys who were in there and, because of maybe the extra need for a guy given some of the injury statuses of them. If you're taking a guy like, Sorsdal, like our offensive line's been very healthy. They played every single snap of this game and they're fine. Historically, it's probably easier to go without one of the backup linemen than it is to go without another defensive tackle. Because I mean, Skip can come in and play like in a relief role if you need him to. So, no, not for say Houston. I'm not sure. I mean, again, I'm not going to listen to the doom-mongers. Everyone's been on his ass for a long time, unnecessarily so. He'll be fine. I think it's just you've got to take more guys into certain positions in some game because, injury situations dictate that. And these were just a couple of the guys who suffered. I mean, you've got Hutch, you've got Davenport, you've got Pascal in there as well. So you've got three guys who are going to take a heavy load. You've got two stars, you've got rotational guys, so you don't necessarily need another one. So I'm not too fussed for either of them. Like, still, he's a year two guy. He's a day three pick. If someone's expecting him to be a starter now, then more fool on them. He's still got a long ways to go. So if you are going to put people on inactives today, he's probably going to be a candidate for it. So no, I'm not really fussed with either.
What do you think, Ash, on all of that we just mentioned?
Yeah, so to go way back to the Chris Smith signing, I agree it was kind of a shock, but at the same time, it's not because, as we said, we needed DT help. And if we signed Pico to the active roster week one, his contract would be fully guaranteed. So if then we had to cut him later, we incur a lot of caps, at least with Chris Smith, because he's not a veteran, that doesn't apply. So as soon as Reader's back, we can kind of risk him to waivers because, as we said, he hasn't really played that well. Hell, last preseason, he didn't play that well either. Everyone wanted Corey Durden, who is on the practice squad for the other team this week rather than Smith. So we can probably risk him back to waivers, sign him back to the practice squad if we want him. So it's kind of a bit of financial play by the front office there. Activated Pico makes sense. Needed DT. He was taking all the nose tackle reps with the first team in camp. Needed him. Kind of saw a bit of why this game. And then Kennedy. I don't get it. I get it, but I don't at the same time. Like, I've been on the ex-receiver rant so many times now that you guys could probably reverse whatever I say, like line and verse easily. Kind of showed in this game, as we'll get on to, why I think we still need that guy. When we saw Kennedy, he had a couple of good plays. So one of the Gibbs ones with a split backfield, he was blocking. But other than that, kind of anonymous. Didn't really help out too much, but if he knows the playbook, fair. They must have some role from, as you said, and fair enough. don't know if it's, but it just felt weird seeing in week one. And then with the inactives, yeah, I get it. Saw's great. If we had to have some inactives, Saw's still developing, weren't planning to play him if every time he plays, if someone went down. So yeah, it made sense. And we obviously needed Skipper for 6-0 line role, which he did. And yeah, Houston, he's for me, he's still got a bit of the ways to get there with the run defense, and maybe it was because we're playing an outside zone team, we didn't want to risk that. But actually, looking at what the Rams did, they did a lot of inside stuff this week, so maybe he could have been there. But yeah, it's just a numbers game. We needed reinforcements on the D line. Hopefully, he'll be back next week to sort of take on a Tampa team who got a bit of a better O line, and maybe we need his little extra bit of juice to get past Tristan Wirfs.
I mean, just to have my take on Houston, we don't have an ex-receiver, as Ash mentioned. We had 2 safeties out. I don't know really what you want the team to do in this situation. Like, we have plenty of edges. Now, are they all natural edges? No. Are there people we maybe are shoehorning into the edge if we have to? Yes. But we do have cover there. But we literally needed cover at safety, defensive tackle, and X-wide receiver. So when it comes to inactives, you've got to look at where you're deep and just say, who can we sacrifice? And at the end of the day, it might have been like Houston or, I don't know, Pascal. And it's like, there's only one winner there. So, you know, ideally, actually, you'd like to take the designated pass rusher there because maybe you have a bit more depth. Maybe not him, maybe Wingo, say. But you have a look at Wingo with the versatility, and that's why Houston loses out. But there will come his time. You know, if we actually get X sorted out, maybe we sign one to the active roster permanently and Reader comes back, then suddenly Houston's in play because we don't have these holes where we have to elevate people elsewhere on the roster. So it's one of those things where just for this week, he's a bit of the victim of where we're a bit short. That's all it is. He made the 53. If it was going to be an issue like this every single game, there's no point in him being here. And I think that's maybe the point that the beat writers are making. But if that's the point they're making, the other point they're making is that Brad Holmes couldn't see that come roster cutdown time. And I don't believe that. They're smarter than that. They know they're going to need him down the stretch. And that's why he's here. So it's all part of the plan. And I just think people are overlooking it. Anyway, rant over. Let's move on with this game. So the Lions run out 26-20 winners in overtime. Let's bring up some stats for you. Matthew Stafford led the Rams, and he was majestic once again for the Rams. Led them from 14 points down. He went 34 of 49 for 317 yards, a touchdown and a pick. The run game didn't really get going for them at all. Total of 23 carries for 83 yards, led by Kyron Williams, who went at 2.8 yards per carry, 18 carries for 50 yards, and a touchdown for him. And it was a fantastic day for Cooper Kupp. 14 of 21 for 110 yards and a touchdown. 14 receptions is his joint career high. And a really good day as well for Tyler Johnson, who never really has done anything in this league beyond a catch here or there, as Ash rightly put yesterday, or last night, I should say. He's very much a Marvin Hall type of player. And he went 5 of 7 for 79, including a 63-yarder. You know, he really kind of gave him a little extra something when Puka Nacua went down. Looking at the Rams on defense, they were led by Quentin Lake, the nickelback, 10 tackles for him. They had 2 sacks, one by Jared Verse and one by Byron Young, and another TFL, that was by Michael Hoyt. They had 3 passes defended, one by Kobe Durant, one by John Johnson III, and one by Troy Reader. 5 quarterback hits, one by Kobe Durant, one by Byron Young, 2 by Jared Verse, and one by Quentin Lake. And that is all we have there. They did have an interception on Jared Goff, that was by John Johnson III. Otherwise, nothing massively to speak about. Their kicker, Josh Cardi, the rookie from Stanford, was perfect. 2 of 2 on field goals, 2 of 2 on extra points. For the Lions, led by Jared Goff, not his best day, I would say, potentially, but it got the job done just about. 18 of 28 for 217, a touchdown and a pick. But the Lions already came into their own in the run game. 31 carries for 163 yards. That's 5.3 yards per carry and 2 touchdowns on the ground. David Montgomery was the leader. 17 carries for 91 yards and a touchdown. That's 5.4 yards per carry. And Jahmyr Gibbs, 11 of 40 for a touchdown as well. In the receiving game, it was a career day for Jameson Williams. 5 of 9 for 121 yards and a touchdown. Sam Laporta backed him up very well, 4 of 5 for 45. And Jahmyr Gibbs got in on the action as well, 4 of 6 for 34. But a very quiet day for Amon-Ra St. Brown, 3 of 6 for only 13 yards. On defense, 2 players got over 10, more than 10 tackles or more. Anzalone with 13, Carlton Davis with 10. Only 2 sacks, one by Hutch and one shared by Onwuzurike and Davenport. But 7 tackles for a loss. One by Kyle Pico, 1 by Jack Campbell, 1 by Brian Branch, 3 by Anzalone, and then 1 was the sack that Hutch had. 5 passes defended, 3 of them by Brian Branch, 1 by Kirby Joseph, 1 by Amik Robertson, and then 12 quarterback hits in total, which really tells you a lot about this game. 4 of them by Marcus Davenport, 4 of them by Aiden Hutchinson, 2 by Onwuzurike, and 1 by Kyle Pico, and 1 by Mekhi Wingo. The interception that we got was by Kirby Joseph in the end zone, which really turned the game on its head, I think, kept us in it. When you look back on it now, it was a huge point in the game. And the other big point in the game, I think 2 other points in the game, is that the Lions were excellent on special teams on the whole. Jake Bates went perfect, 2 of 2 on field goals, 2 of 2 on extra points, including the game-tying field goal with seconds remaining to send it to overtime. And Jack Fox averaged 57.5 yards per punt in his 4 punts, which really did end up flipping the field and force the Rams to go the long way round. And it was a topsy-turvy game where the Lions went behind early slightly, but then had it all their own way for a half, and then just almost completely lost their way until someone decided to kind of jolt them back into action with about 2.5 minutes to play in the game.
Yeah, they look like they'd not played football in well over 200 days. There was a lot of mistakes, a lot of sloppy bits of play, coaching again just didn't look like it was really up to speed. But for me, the big takeaway from this is that we played bad and we won. And we say that's the sign of the truly great teams are the ones who don't necessarily play well, who have a bad day at the office, which for us, really, overall, it was a bad day at the office compared to our usual standards. And yet, a team who is quite clearly going to be in the mix for the playoffs this year in the Rams, you were still able to put them away. Like you mentioned, our wide receiver 1 didn't get a look in, our tight end 1 didn't get a look in. We still won a game of football. Like, that's a lot of resilience from a team that's, it was on the rocks. The second half, they came out and they just completely nullified us. And we talked about it on the preview. Like, a young team, they might be inexperienced, but if a young team gels, starts making plays, it can play better than the sum of its parts early on. And you saw them, especially the defensive unit. It's a young defensive unit coming up against one of the best O-lines in the league. And they just had no fear. They played with no fear, and they went toe-to-toe with them to the point where they stopped us being able to run the ball on them and just put us in situations where they could then sort of deploy some of their better guys and make life difficult for us. So it's a testament to them how well they did play in this game, but then it's the testament to us how, with 4.5 minutes left, they've got the ball, we're down. You say that's where, like, Super Bowl teams come back and win these games. How much do you really, really want it? And this team came out and showed that they did. Like, say, we got the good punt in there to put them right back. The defense comes out, makes quick stops. You get some throwing the ball to help save us clock on there, and then we've got plenty of time to go get the drive that we need. It's clutch, maybe not as clutch as some of the 2-minute drills we've seen before, but you get what you need. You see the game out, you get to overtime. And then, it's just really impressive what they do in overtime. Because again, sort of what we talked about in the preview, they're a young team. And if you keep hammering away at them, especially in that first half when we're doing well, you hammer away, you run. Young players don't like that. When you're in overtime, you've played a full game of football and you're beaten, you're bruised. There's a lot of their players who've left the game, and you're repeatedly getting the ball ran down your throat. Eventually, you will break them. Like this team's motto, We go a little longer, we go a little harder, we're a little bit tougher, and just saw that in overtime. The way they look tired, and these young guys not able to rush the passer because we're just running the football and play after play after play. They're getting hit, they're getting hurt, they don't like it, and these young guys are not able to do what they like. And this team goes the length of the field, wins it, and it's just extreme. It's extreme resilience from us. Like you see a championship team in that, despite all the bad that like there's a lot of bad. But at the end of the day, you want to see, you need the team to be up against the wall sometimes. You need to see what it's like when it's back together. Well, like against the 49ers last year, we didn't quite have it. What did we have this year? I think we learned from that experience. I think, we said I said I wanted to see this team come out and absolutely dominate them and show that, we're going to take it out on them. But at the same point, I think this is just as valuable a lesson that, this team mentally is still there. They've got it. This San Francisco game has not shook them. They came back, they did what they needed to and finished it off really well. And, I'm more happy than anything for this. I say, long way for this team to go, a lot of stuff to sort out, but the way they won it makes me really happy. So that's how I felt with this one.
Ash, what about you? Now you've had some time to digest and rewatch it.
Yeah. Partly it's them just adjusting really well to us. So remember that first drive, shut them down pretty much. Then they started sort of hitting the flats, getting the ball out quickly to negate the offensive line, negate the pressure, and it worked. But then we sort of bounced back. You look at some of their drives, and honestly, and I know we'll come on to it later, but they were sometimes kind of helped a bit by some rookie mistakes from Arnold. Obviously, the 2 DPIs extended their drives, giving them the ball at the 1, for instance. That kind of helped them a bit. But yeah, we bounced back. A couple of seasons ago, that would have been a massacre. Hell, season and a half ago, I remember, just about remember. Glad I've scoured most of it from my memory, but that game against the Patriots where we just laid the donut. We had the potential for that to be that kind of game here, and instead we grit it out. Yeah, wasn't perfect. We couldn't get some of our playmakers involved, though fair play to the Rams defense for negating the middle of the field where they know we like to work, and so we had to go to other avenues. But for the most part, we did what we need to do. There's some really damn good performances in there. There's some players who, made some mistakes in new situations, and we'll hopefully learn from them, because we're at that point now with this team where we are like the Chiefs, we are like the Patriots a couple of years where they were in the dynasty. September football doesn't matter. It's December and January football that matters for us now, and this is a learning experience. Arnold will learn to have his eyes around when he's making plays for the ball. Branch will get more used to playing safety, and so we'll have better pursuit angles. We'll learn from this, just like we learned from the 49ers experience last year, just like we've learned throughout this entire regime. We rarely make the same mistake twice. And now it's time for obviously just to hit the film review in the meeting rooms or whatever this week at Ford Field, work on some things, perhaps buy some new pairs of cleats so you're not slipping over every 5 seconds, and then we can go beat Tampa.
All right, let's just briefly go through what happened in the game. Lions won the toss and deferred, so the Rams started out and they went 3 and out with 2 tackles for a loss by Anzalone. Really hot start by him, and he did get a game ball at the end, which was much deserved. He really set the tone on defense. Detroit's first drive, they unfortunately also went 3 and out. Jared Goff was sacked on 3rd down by Young. Sewell and Zeitler got sucked in by a stunt by Kobe Turner. I think Zeitler probably is the one who would end up getting the credit for that sack, unfortunately. So the Rams get the ball back on their second drive, but it starts at the 10 after holding, and they have to go a long way. But they do very well. They start throwing these short, quick outs in the flat. Kupp has 4 catches on this drive alone. Stafford does get sacked by Levi and Davenport in a really good play by both. Eventually, false starts push him a long way back, and Kyron Williams sets up a 41-yard field goal, which Carsey converts a 3-0 lead early to the Rams. And then the Lions really came into their own. They got down to the 27-yard line of the Rams on 4th and 2, decided to go for it instead of going to tie up. Monty got that, and eventually they do stall out just shy of the goal line. 25-yard field goal is good to tie the game up. And then the Rams' next drive, Branch with a flying PBU against Cooper Kupp. I actually thought he should have got there potentially for an interception, but when you look at it in real time, the reactions to even get there at all are fantastic. The Rams then go for it on 4th and 4 at the Detroit 23 instead of taking the field goal to take the lead. And a brilliant PBU by Carlton Davis to get the turnover on downs. So then Detroit take over, and they really steal the momentum this time. JMO with a 36-yard gain to the Rams 41 on a 10 and in. And then Goff just overshoots JMO on a play-action shot. There was some split-back looks with Gibbs along with Vaki, which I think is a new wrinkle which we hadn't seen before. I think we were all assuming if there was going to be a split backfield, it'd be Monty in there, but it wasn't. It was Sione Vaki. What else did we have in that drive then? Eventually, it was the rushing touchdown by Gibbs, where he kind of arched his back and tried to keep everything off the ground and did manage to extend to break the plane just on review, which was, one time that the refs were in our favour, but probably the last time. PAT was good and a 10-3 lead. Rams' 4th drive, 2-minute drill for the Rams. Davenport with a really bad offsides, which gave him a free play. Great PBU by Amik Robertson, who I thought had a pretty good day. And then roughing on Hutchinson, tax on 15 for them, which, despite protestations for me, absolutely correct call. You can't just hit the quarterback below the knee. You're just going to get pinged for every time. It's soft. There's no doubt that it's soft, but you're not getting away with that. Sets up 1st and 10 at the 40. Stafford fires high on 1st and goal from the 8 and then fires it into Johnson in the end zone on 2nd and goal, but Kirby jumps the route for an interception and a touchback. And then there may be the most egregious and self-indulgent play of the entire game. The Lions have no time remaining, and instead of just kneeling out the half, Goff gets sacked by Jared Verse and really should have been strip sacked. Jared Verse missed a trick there because there would have been about 2 seconds remaining in field goal range, and that would have been the ball game. When it all came down to it, that would probably have given it to the Rams, so they missed a trick, and the Lions should know better because there wasn't enough time for the Lions to get in field goal range, but they ran a play anyway, but they didn't hand it off like most teams would do in that situation. That was the half, and the Lions were up 10-3, boys, and it kind of felt like it was all going our way. We were in control. They went for it on 4th down but couldn't convert. We were seeing PBUs by Davis and Branch, and Gibbs manages to stretch in, and Hutch had the roughing, but Kirby got the interception. It felt like everything was falling our way.
I mean, it felt like 2 heavyweights trying to figure one another out. Like, I felt like the first quarter went in no time at all, and it felt like nothing really happened in there. But obviously, you got 2 teams, they want to play their style of football. We could have, first 2 drives, neither team got anything going. So teams had to start to adapt on there. Like the Rams, I think they tried to give their 2 backup tackles the opportunity to sort of hold up on the way they play. We got a lot of pressure on that first drive. Anzalone did really well, and then they're like, right, okay, we need to get the ball out quicker because it's just not working. They adapted. Us, we weren't able to really run the ball that well either, so we got JMO involved trying to stretch the field a little bit, which we've been crying out for ages for JMO to get more involved. But we saw a lot of good stuff. Like the Lions' defense, especially in the red zone, was tremendous, like absolutely tremendous. When the drives looked like they were getting out of hand, they made stops, and even if there was a field goal in there, etc., they held up well. I really liked what the DBs were doing. Like I said, it was never going to be easy for them. Like they targeted Arnold all night. They targeted Davis a lot. They're like, right, we're going to give these guys an examination. We're going to see just how good they are. We're not going to give them any time to settle in. And for Terrian's part, I thought he was really damn good. He gave up a few receptions, but the life of a corner is you're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to take your lumps, and you're going to have your good plays. And overall, I really like what he did. I thought he was really impressive against the run as well. But for us, like I say, the defense was really good. We were able to sort of open the offense out a bit. I liked the drive for the touchdown. We really mixed it up in there. Like I say, you'd use JMO to get the field spread a bit. You bring in Gibbs and Varkey, which I love because both can play slot, both can get out wide, both can run the ball. Who the hell knows what's coming? Which is the really good thing about that. And they struggled. They struggled to pick up what we were going to do with it. And then, Gibbs. I just love Jameer Gibbs so much. Like that run was so impressive to get himself over the line. Just the way he keeps his legs churning, the way he keeps going. Like that's what you mean by the little 10% extra, which just got him there. But it was a great drive from us. And then, like I say, the defense was really good. I enjoyed it. It was a decent first half. I didn't feel like it all fell our way, but I thought it was a good start. Like for the first half of a season when most of these guys haven't played, we're fielding an entirely new secondary. I thought it was really good, and I thought they did adapt to them when they started all the quick throwing and stuff. 'Cause it did hurt us initially, but I say they made stops, and we've not done that before, so something's working.
What about you, Ash? We were making stops.
Yeah, we were. Obviously, that first drive went well, and I agree when it came to sort of nut up or shut up time, pretty much for the defense, they did what they had to. So even on the second drive where they were kind of starting to drive, hitting the flats early, using cup, they got down to close, like sort of into the red zone, obviously at R19, then suddenly sack. They thought their second string right tackle full starts, and it pushed them right back. They're in a bad situation. And then we're like, well, if you want to run the ball to set yourself a field goal, you can do that. They do it, kick the field goal, it's whatever. Again, situation where they get to R23 near the in the sort of what's called the soft red zone these days. And again, flying PBU on a similar play from what Kopp had in the first to play the second drive. Branch gets there this time. Then Davenport flushes Stafford out the pocket and makes him throw away. And suddenly, again, they're in a situation and on R23, they have to go for it. We clamp down again. Fourth drive. So we know they get there. My guy Kirby Joseph jumps the route perfectly, gets an interception. We were the epitome, at least in the first half, of bend but don't break. You can keep taking the short, flat stuff, but as soon as you get close to the scoring zone, right, no more now. Take the field goals, whatever. We clamped up, and then the offense did what they had to do. Was it perfect? No, but we still went in with a one score lead. There's some really good plays with JMO where, because Sam and Amaral getting locked down by the safeties, basically getting bracket coverage all the time, JMO was just allowed to run free. And same with the split back look. I was even said on the stream, watch that come back later in the season where they do the exact thing, but instead of going to block, Varkey's going to go on a wheel route. We're going to get a 60-yard touchdown from it. I can just see it. Like, I've been mentally scarred enough from wheeled routes this season already from my other team, so it'd be nice to see one actually work for my favour this time.
Oh, the wry smile from Ant.
Hey, Ash mentioned, I didn't even think about it, but was it funny though? Did anyone else shout some choice words in Stafford's direction when Kirby picked him off? Like,
yeah,
just like, yeah, dirty pick, like, just yeah, just
yeah.
Receipts are kept. Like, you don't chat shit to Kirby. Otherwise it'll come back and get you.
He's been clapping back to people on Twitter in the last hour. He's been very active.
You know what? I think even though sometimes he might be wrong about things, I just still utterly blindly defend him till the end just because of the kind of guy he is.
Yeah, he's an enigma.
I love our players. Like, that's what you want. You want a bit of chirping. You want a bit of, okay, yeah, we're going to be the bad guy type thing. Everyone writes us off all the time, so why not?
He is more CJGJ than CJGJ because he's not a bad guy. He's just a badass guy. Like, that's who CJGJ should have been for us.
And he's a good safety.
Well, that too. But it's great to watch. Anyway, half number 2 started with the Lions taking over. They had a chance to go 2 for 1, but they couldn't make it happen. 3rd and 4 was short of the sticks. First up, and a great punt by Jack Fox, but Ennis Rakestraw tearing after it, couldn't help but just run into the ball and went out for a touch pack. That really sucked because it bounced at the one and checked up and backwards. It was one of the best punts I've ever seen. But never mind. Rams' first drive of the second half ended the same way the Rams' first drive of the game started, with a 3 and out. Stafford was nearly intercepted by Branch on 3rd and 10. It would have been a regulation pick for someone who had played safety for his entire career. Unfortunately, Branch has never played safety, despite what people want to say about him. True safety, he's never played, really. So it's still new to him. And as I said to Ash yesterday, just needs to get on the jugs machine. Because if he can start making plays on that sort of pass, he's got the instincts to be in the right place, but you need to now make the plays. So it goes down as a PBU. It's one of the 3 he had on the game, but that should have been coming back the other way, unfortunately. Detroit's 6th drive then, and 2 plays to Monty, get set up to go 3rd and 3. JMO then on 3rd and 3 from the Detroit 48, beats Tre'Davious White on a double move. Goff hits him perfectly for a 52-yard touchdown. White basically trying to rugby tackle him as he went past him when he knew he was beat. But JMO showed great strength to stay up, good speed to run underneath the ball, and he walked him for the touchdown. PAT was good, and the Lions led by 14. Rams come back down by 14, knowing they need to get something, and they do. 4th and 3 on the Detroit 29. It felt like deja vu from the first half, but this time they do convert it to Demarcus Robinson. It was a great play by him. And then Arnold with the DPI at the Rams 2, and then Williams with the 2-yard rush to score. That was we have a look at what Monty did, but Kyron Williams put in the shoulder down there. And I know he didn't get many yards per attempt, but he's an impressive running back, and you could see it from that. And his mum in the crowd as well. That was quite a cool moment for him. So that made it 17-10. And then it all started to go a little bit wrong. 3 and out again for the Lions here. Rams crashed down Sam Laporta, stopping him getting yak. He gained 4 on a 3rd and 5 on our side of the field. And there we go. Rams then take over, and a great TFL by Brian Branch on 1st down. But then Davis misses the tackle on 2nd and 12 against Tyler Johnson, who turns it upfield for 63 yards, completely basically untouched all that way. It was a shocking play because it just kind of came out of nowhere, and he went all the way down the middle of the field. But, flipped the field all the way down into the red zone. And then another DPI by Terry and Arnold in the end zone gives them 1st and goal from the 1. But the Lions somehow hold them to a field goal from there. You've got the backup tackle now, a Courier, in there, and he has a holding penalty on Hutch. And then another holding penalty on Hutch on 3rd and goal deep, which we decline, which gives them 4th down and goal from way out. They decide to take the field goal for 17-13. Goff then intercepted on the next drive, trying to force it to Amon-Ra, but it just wasn't there. The safeties were in Robert, and John Johnson jumps the route. It looked like it might have hit the ground. It was upheld on review. I think it would have been upheld on review no matter what the call was. It wasn't a clean catch, but it did appear on review that the hand did get underneath the ball. It didn't clearly hit the ground. So there we go. Puts the Rams in great territory, only 4 down now. And Stafford gets it to Cup for a 9-yard touchdown. Carlton Davis was in the middle of nowhere, and Cup was just opening the flat to walk in for 20-17 in favour of the Rams. Yeah. And then Detroit go 3 and out again. Goff with a good throw out of the sack on 2nd and 5. Durant could have maybe been called for roughing on the corner blitz because he hit Goff low, but it wasn't called, unlike the Hutch one earlier. And then Goff should have been picked by Durant the very next play. It was straight into his hands, and much like the Brian Branch drop, one just got away from him, unfortunately, for the Rams. That would have been really big. So we end up punting away, and the Rams come back already up 3, and not much time to go. I think 4 minutes at this point, as Ant mentioned earlier. An immense throw. The best throw I've seen in a long time apart from maybe the Anthony Richardson pass earlier in the day. But apart from the play the very same day, back foot throw from Stafford to Demarcus Robinson on 3rd down, Robinson to extend the drive on 3rd down. And for me, at that point, I'd kind of resigned myself to defeat because they're starting to really kill clock here. But on the next set, the Lions manage to force the Rams into some bad plays. TFO on first down, false start on McClendon forcing a back 5, and then Stafford overthrowing Cup on 3rd and 10. And then we got very, very close to blocking the punt. Ben Neiman was maybe half a yard away from blocking the punt. And so the Lions get it back. 2 minutes 11 to go, starting at our own 31, and a good catch by Sam Laporta with a massive helmet-to-helmet by Cam Kitchens. We've got no words on Sam Laporta and whether he's actually all right, but it was a sickening hit by Cam Kitchens on Sam Laporta. It was a... I don't want to say it was a dirty hit because I don't want to fall to that level of doing what they did to Kirby, but he should know better than to do that. He really should. So that tacked on another 15. Gibbs then with a lovely Texas go route, and he slipped when Goff threw him the ball. Kind of fortunate, really, that the Rams didn't have anyone there to pick that off, because it's just one of those where if you see a receiver fall down, it often comes back the other way. 3rd and 2 then is converted by Gibbs, but then eventually the Lions stall out. It really looked like they should kind of try and force it a little bit more than they did, but they kind of went a little bit conservative. And Bates was good from 32 to tie the game with about 19 seconds to play. But it was almost enough for the Rams. Pass to Cooper Kupp on first down on a cover 2 beater. It looked like it was about right, but just didn't have the zip required. Carlton Davis with a PBU, but it looked like he landed on his head. Apparently he's going to be okay, but it was a bit of a sickening hit. And then Hutch sacked Stafford to end the game. So that was the end of regulation at 20 apiece. The Lions win the toss and choose to receive, and then the Lions just decide they're going to run it down their throats. Dave Montgomery turns into Hulk and punishes the Rams. Our offensive line have our way with them, and it's ended out from the 1 yard line with a Monty touchdown to win the game. Of course, I was caught out by this live yesterday, but in the regular season, it's the old overtime rules where a touchdown ends the game. It's only in the playoffs where both sides get a chance to possess the ball no matter what. So I was calling for us to go on defense because I thought, no matter what we get a chance to receive the ball. I was mistaken because I did not realise the rules were different when it came to the playoffs. Why are they different? It's the same bloody game either way, but never mind. Lions win 26-20. Somehow that second half of the recap was much longer. And I'll just come back to you first. From it kind of... I know you were maybe pushing back on me saying it was all falling our way in the first half. But in the second half, apart from the dropped interception, it kind of felt like we went 3 and out a lot. And then they were just having... apart from the 62-yarder by Tyler Johnson, there were no real big plays for the Rams. But it felt like every drive they had was like a 10-play point-scoring drive.
Yeah, they were just as physical as we were, and I think that's something we've come to expect from this team now, that they are tough. We think of them as maybe more of a flashy West Coasty type team, but when you want to, they're incredibly good in the trenches as well. But I mean, for the start of the half, we come out, we have the dreaded 3 and out in the third quarter, the whole thing there, which is... it would just be nice to come out and score right after for a change.
We did get a touchdown in the third quarter, though.
I know we did. Oh, I'm coming on to that now. But, like the first one, you're just like, oh, God, here we go. Same again. However, you set the tone, because what we've done in the past is sometimes we've let teams dominate the third quarter. Like their first drive has been really good. We get the 3 and out. We get the chance to reset. And finally, we're starting to use JMO how JMO's meant to be used. When you've got an egg which you're struggling to crack, like JMO's the person that you go to crack said egg and, to throw it downfield. I disagree with, I don't mean to be this guy, but when you say perfect throw to JMO, it's not a perfect throw to JMO. He had to stop to about half his speed to come back and catch it. Like, if that had been in speed, he would have beaten Tre'Davious White's old ass by about 30 yards to the end zone. But the fact that he beats him off the line of scrimmage, all ends up, has to stop, grab the ball and start again, and is still quicker than Tre'Davious White is just like, that's how stupidly, insanely fast JMO is. But the fact is they went to that ball when it wasn't working over the middle, when there's no Amon-Ra, when there's no Laporta. That's why we've got JMO in this team, is to put him on, like, so they're playing man, one-on-one, he's just a lot quicker. get him in, get the ball up. It's a good throw, do not get me wrong. It's not a perfect throw, but get it in his area. You crack them open, and then you're thinking, oh, maybe we can really go and put the hammer down here. But like you say, the Rams are a good team, and Matthew Stafford is a very savvy quarterback. And if there's anyone, and he's done it millions of times in his career, when under pressure, you are able to fight against that adversity, come back, and put points together. I think them scoring pretty much right back on us. If we'd have been able to stop them one more time, I think this game would have been a lot more different. But like I say, you start making some of those clutch throws. You've got incredibly good receivers over there, right? And Cook makes some unreal catches, and sometimes he's just going to do that to you, and you kind of just have to accept it. I can't remember which DPI it was. I'm pretty sure it was the first one I thought was completely bogus, which gave him the opportunity to go in. Oh, he taps his arm, give over. It's absolutely bogus. Compared to some of the shit they were getting away with, it was bogus. But anywho, like I say, Karen Williams, really good. Like JMO, hard to get out online. And then it's when you start getting the stops. Like when we couldn't run the ball, they sort of sat in coverage, like you say, with Laporta. They swarmed him on 3rd and 5. They weren't playing man-to-man. They were just sat waiting because they knew we'd have to put it short. They just played to the ball. They rallied to the ball. Young team helping one another out. And I think, they put pressure on us. And as a team we've never been under like Super Bowl expectations before. Not in years. And we are still a relatively young team. And I think what you began to see here was like the realization from our players, like, uh-oh, like we're meant to win this game. We're healthy ahead in this game. We're meant to win this, and they're stopping us. We can't do our bread and butter. They're playing incredibly hard, just as hard as we are, and I'll give their due to them. They played just as hard as we did. And I think you started seeing the nerves creep in there, like little mistakes, the holding from Zeitler in there, just things that we don't normally do. The execution in run blocking to try and get the run game going was just not good. They were very, there was little things. And then, let's say, missed tackles. Davis on the big one, it's like, just sit there, man. I know you want to make a play right in there, but when you're in there 10 and you've got bare field behind you, don't commit. Like, just don't go in there and leave yourself open. Like, say, spin out 60 yards later because there's no one covering and just sit there and wait. Like they did. They were sort of sitting and waiting for it. We were being, I think, a little too aggressive in some cases, trying to go and make the big plays, which I get. You're at home. Momentum's on your side. But you've got to be sort of smart about it there. And as I say, the Rams they kept getting themselves into situations. But again, we red zone defended. It looked like they were going to go and get a touchdown. We defended it. We forced the penalty. They finally called a hold on Curie after about 20 holds. But it was, as I say, we just went through this position. We just went through this phase of the game where we were completely unable to get anything together. I think it was nerves, and they got momentum. Much as Jeremy likes to say, momentum is not a real thing in games. It is, especially with the Detroit Lions. And it was tough. But even when they went in front, I know you said maybe you'd given up on the game. I never believed that they couldn't win this game. Like, even when they were down, it felt like we just needed that one drive. We just needed that one little thing to be able to get us going. Like you say, when the defense made the stop late on, normally teams would have ran that out on us. They'd have got a first down. We'd have lost the game. So it gives you that little bit of confidence back. You get a penalty, which is good. Get a bit of yards, give you a bit of favourable position, just give you a little bit of momentum going forward. I love Dan's decision to go for the field goal. Like you said, he became a bit conservative for it. I think in previous years, he may have been really aggressive when we may have lost because of that. I thought getting to overtime was the right decision because, like you said, when one team gets it, you're putting it into potentially your hands in a better situation where you can go out and win it without the other team being able to do so. I think that's Dan growing as a coach. I liked it. Bates was clutch. That was great. And then, like you say, the team kind of just went out. I think they realized they'd, avoided a big banana skin at that point, and I think that gave them the confidence they need to go, right, snap out of it. This is what we do. This is what we're good at. Still going to trust you to run the ball down their throat. And they went and did it. And they executed perfectly on that, like completely perfectly in every single facet. They went out there and they showed that they were the team that they could be. And it was an emotional roller coaster. But for me, that was the whole story of the game. Was a team. It was doing well. It came under a lot of pressure in a situation it's not used to being in. It just found its balls at the end, and then it asserted itself, and banana skin avoided, and it was a very good win in the end. So I just love the mental resilience of this team now and how it's built up, and it's young, and it doesn't believe that it can lose now. And Dan said it perfectly after the game. Like, they tried to break us. Well, you know what? No one can break us anymore. And I do 100% truly believe that no team can physically break us. They can't mentally break us. This team's never out of a game. So it was, yeah, it was stressful, especially as 5 in the morning's rolling around and you're like, please, for the love of God, don't lose this. But I just thought they were absolutely tremendous. And the application they showed on that last drive especially was just, that's what makes our team great and better than others. That ability to come back from where they were.
Many thanks to Mile Marker for the $10 super chat. He says, lines emoji, lines emoji, lines emoji. 1 and 0. Thank you, MM. Appreciate you very, very much. Ash, what's your tale of the second half? Because, I mean, they put us through the mill one way or the other.
Yeah, like better than anyone, and so does the people who are watching, how depressed I was getting as the second half was going on. I was getting
It
Vietnam
affects
War
you far too much.
It really does. It really does. That's because I was flashing back to week 2 last year. And the overtime. But
it was just to say, it was quite funny in the preview show that Ant was invoking the Seattle game, and then we had an overtime game where it looked like things were going wrong. Like, it was just so glaring to me that Ant mentioned that, and I was like, oh my God, it's happening again. But anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Ash.
It's all right. But I'm not going to focus on the bad. Let's focus on the good. That JMO touchdown, it used their focus on the middle against them. So it's a play called the 9-8-9 play, invented by North Turner. People might remember as the old OC for Panthers. And it's literally just outside receivers run go balls, slot receiver runs a post. Safety is drawn towards Amara in the post. The other safety is looking towards Khalif, who's running the go on the other side. But Goff is just staring at JMO. He knows it's his first read, and as soon as he sees that sort of double move happen with the stutter steps, he just lets it go because he knows JMO is going to get free. And it worked. Like, admittedly, for most of the time, their focus on the middle worked for them because that's just where most of our plays are designed to go. But we used it against them even in sort of moments where we're like, we really need to get ourselves out of it here. We found the perfect play to get out of it. And it was the same later in the game. Despite the adversity that we faced in that second half, despite some of the penalties, despite the Rams being really good at hook blocks, whatever that is, we dug ourselves out of that hole. And yet, hell, a year and a half ago, we would not have been able to have done that. So it was great to see. Even though my heart was not doing well, though I partly also blame that on all the energy drinks I probably drank yesterday. We did what we needed to do. And yeah, the overtime drive, that's going to go down as one of the moments of this regime when it's all said and done. Because, yeah, that could be the sort of thing that gets over the hill. We've shown we've got that adversity now. When it comes to the January, for ever in this situation again, be it against the Rams or 49ers or whoever, we've shown we can do it now. And we can build on that. If next week it's a blowout win, that's great. But just the fact now we've shown we can overcome it, where teams are taking away our best players, taking away our 2 all-pro receivers, and we still win, just shows everything.
All right, let's move on to some game themes. And just to start with, I mean, we came to this game saying the Rams were beat up, and just, I know Ant has already kind of said it, but just a shout out to those guys for losing your starting guard in Steve Avila, to lose Joe Noteboom, who's your backup left tackle, and to play the way that you did. Absolutely incredible. Just deserves massive props for taking us all that way.
Puka.
Yeah, Puka as well. A massive loss. But I mean, Cup, seemed to replace all of that production, and Tyler Johnson did well as well. What do you think about the Rams being able to exploit those short passes? Because we never seemed to really be able to deal with it. It seemed like they always had it until maybe the final Rams drive in regulation, apart from the one pass that he had after we leveled it up. But that one drive, we seemed to get a bit more pressure on it, and then obviously they didn't get a chance in overtime. But apart from that, we seem to kind of let that happen a little bit. We couldn't get home quickly enough to Stafford. He was throwing it too damn fast. But it was always kind of there for him, man. I don't know whether schematically we were just like, we don't want to get beaten over the top and you're going to struggle to do it in the red zone, or whether it was just Stafford was too quick for us.
No edge rusher can get to a quarterback in 2 seconds. Like, with a free release with no one blocking you, it's pretty damn tough to get to a quarterback who's dropping back in 2 seconds. Like, they understood their limitations. Right, like I say, on the first drive or two, when they started slowing the game, they tried to operate how they normally would, under the assumption that the tackles would hold up, to see how they did, and we got a lot of success in the backfield. We put a lot of pressure on the quarterback, made him hurry his throws, and they're like, okay, we've done that. Not going to do that anymore. We're going to throw the ball, and one thing they do more than anybody, they use guys in motion. Every time there's someone moving around, and the trouble with defending motion is you give away what you're doing on defense when you do that, which then a savvy quarterback like Stafford will see it and he will adapt to it. And that is what, McVay's game is built on. It's exposing what a defense is doing in front of him, but having a quarterback now who almost can kind of do it on the fly, knowing where he's at, and can pick the mismatches there. And so when you got guys who are in motion, who've got running head starts, who get into space quickly, you can get the ball out quickly. And then you have to lighten the box up a little. You have to sort of try and adjust to that. Then you can start running the ball a bit. I just thought schematically they did everything they could. They were at a massive disadvantage, but they did everything they could, and that evened the scales in their balance. But at the same point, we talk about the injuries and that. Like, if you're going to come to Detroit and play a game of football, you're going to get your ass kicked. And how strong are you? How physically strong are you to be able to adapt to us? And the Rams showed, and we showed, that we hurt them. Like, not in, we went out and clubbed them with a baseball bat, but we played physical football, which broke them. If you want to beat us, you're going to have to play more physically than us. You're going to have to play stronger than us and break us. And they weren't able to do that. And with us able to, as I say, I loved what we did early. We were running the ball a lot. We were being really physical. We were making them hurt. And as the game wore on, that affected that team to the point where in that last overtime drive, they had nothing left because we were just that much stronger than them. And I think that, it kind of shows up because all the little knocks they got and stuff like that, they could not handle our physicality. So, I thought they did the very best they could in that situation, coaching-wise, to overcome that. I would love to see us, like, we've had trouble moving the offense when our tackles have been injured in the past. And I just think, they're one of the best teams at overcoming the shortcomings. I'm not going to be too heavy on the D-line for that. Like I say, you can only do so much when the ball's out so quick and when you're against such a great group of receivers. So
I guess I just more mean the point of, like, if we know that our D-line is going to get home if given the time, it seemed like we were playing off coverage. Yeah, a little bit
too soft.
Why not bring the safeties down? Say you're not going to get 20 yards deep, and just say you've got to play really underneath, and we'll hit you as soon as you catch it. Like,
I think because then you risk being too aggressive and opening up big plays downfield.
Yeah, that's what
61 yard. I think because they got burnt on that, like, it was specifically that one as well, where I think they said, right, look, you've got to rein it in a little bit. You've got to stop these big plays happening down the field and giving them momentum like that. So I admit that I did think we were a bit too soft. It felt like a lot of the receptions were too easy a lot of the time for them, especially with them like I said, if you know he's got to get the ball out his hands quick, then I would be a little bit more, like, stop that receiver getting into space so quick. Don't give him a little bit of soft zone to run into and give him the thing. I felt like we did that a bit too much. So I was a little disappointed, but I kind of do understand why as well at the same point, because they did gash us a few times with that. And entirely new secondary, still learning its communications, still learning all that. Like it's not perfect right now, which was always going to be the problem with this team. Like until it's a well-gelled unit that's played a lot of NFL snaps together and you can trust it more, maybe. I think that's the problem you're going to have to run for a little bit.
Ash, you mentioned it earlier, or alluded to it earlier, that we discussed it, so it's time to come on to it. JMO had some chunk plays. Amon-Ra had nothing. Sam Laporta had nothing mostly, had a catch or two late. But otherwise, the Lions really struggled to move the ball in the air. You've talked about the lack of ex-receiver on this team. Do you still think it's a big problem? I mean, this game seemed to me to kind of confirm that we are lacking that third option as a pure receiver. Because obviously Gibbs played his part in this game as a receiver, and I don't want to overlook that. But it would be nice to have that person who's maybe attracting attention away from Laporta and Amon-Ra and JMO.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like as I said earlier, you guys have heard me say it. It's like it's pretty much every week it's on repeat at this point. Yeah, this game proved that yes, an ex-receiver, be it Tim Patrick, Alan Robinson, DPJ, whoever, will probably be target 5-6 at best on this offense. But in terms of the skill set they offer as a decoy, as a blocker on the outside, drawing attention to the away from the middle to the outside on routes as a decoy and running deep in that. It's more about that for me. And this game showed it because JMO got open a lot. Career day for him, and he says this is not going to be the best we're going to see from him. We're going to see more. But if teams work out, oh yeah, we can just clog the middle, stop Amon-Ra and the Porter, and they've pretty much only got Jameson Williams to go to because I think Khalif only really had that end around to him in overtime. We saw Tom Kennedy a few times as mostly a blocker. Don't think he got targeted. Don't think we saw Isaiah Williams at all on offense. Like, those aren't the kind of receivers that are going to draw outside coverage, unfortunately, just because of the size they are and what they do. That Kennedy's a slot receiver. Isaiah Williams is a slot receiver who can potentially play X. Same with Khalif. You just need that big body presence. They're like, hang on, no, we really need to make sure that we've got a corner on them. And then if they're going deep, the safeties are looking at them. And we just lack that. And so, yeah, Amon-Ra basically got nothing. Most of it was when we were running him on cutting routes outside where JMO's just gone upfield and he cuts out. He's able to get the ball out quick to him and he gets a few yards. Laporta, we saw with that third down where he got 4 yards when we needed 5. As soon as they saw that Laporta was getting open in the middle of the zone, corner and safety crash on him, stop any yak. So yeah, while they're never going to be a big fancy player, they're never going to get the loads of touchdowns, loads of yards. Just because of how the offense works, you need someone just to draw, a big body guy, just to draw some attention. And then, yeah, when it comes down to the red zone, if you need to run that sort of play that we kind of might have needed at the end of this game where 15 seconds left, we needed a touchdown. Who would you have trusted to throw to, especially since Laporte and Amon-Ra hadn't really done that much? That's why I know it might be a once in a season kind of thing, and we might have had that happen now. But we need that option because, yeah, if we're in this adversity again and suddenly they're like, the ground game isn't there, let's say we're playing Tampa again, I'm just going to use an example, in the playoffs, because they've got a really damn good defensive line with Vita Vea and that. If they can shut down our run game and then they can cover the middle with Anton Winfield Jr., who do we really have to go to on the outside except for JMO to sort of go for?
And just to finish off, just to mention this, because it was, I think egregious is putting it lightly. The referees, they have some calls which I disagree with the majority of Lions fans in thinking that I thought it was okay. I thought the Terry and Arnold DPI is just one of those where it's soft, but if you don't get your head around and you do contact the receiver in any way, you're asking for trouble. But there were some instances where the referees were blinder than blind, and I'm talking calling a holding call on Aiden Hutchinson where the holding is literally in the face mask, but also the umpteen number of calls they missed in terms of holding on both Hutch and Davenport, who I thought had an absolutely cracking day, and other missed bits and pieces. There was Cooper Kupp manhandling, I think, a DB in the end zone. There were other little bits and pieces that went unseen. I know it's a bit of a trope to look at the refs in this sort of circumstance, but it did seem to be persistent and really badly missed.
When it got to the point where Hutch got tripped and they called nothing, then it was quite evident that they were not willing to give him anything. I know they gave us a few at the end when it did matter, but holding's holding. Like if a tackle does it 30 times a game, you don't just call it a few times, you call it every time he does it. Like there've been startsies when it comes to lining up on the line of scrimmage and not lining too far back. Every time someone does that, God forbid, pinged for it. But holding's just ridiculous. Like the amount of times they had the hand wrapped around it, keeping his arms sandwiched to his body so he can't extend his arms. Like, he could have had, I think there were 2 sacks he missed because he couldn't extend his arms because he was getting held where they would have been sacks otherwise. That's holding. He got tripped. That's illegal. Like there's a lot, and they seemed very quick to penalise us on a lot of things as well when it wasn't going the other way. But overall, on the grand scheme of it, I mean, the fact that Hutch was still stupidly good tells a story in itself. But the refs were not good, but they were not the reason that we were in the situation we were. I guess I'd say. I guess I've seen more egregious performances before with a lot worse decisions against us, but they were not good. So, but the fact that we were still able to win, other than that, just shows that. And Dan says you take the game out the refs' hands. You don't give them the opportunity to screw you, and that was kind of a thing we did here. So, yeah, they sucked, but we still won. So keep going, but. Hutch needs to start flopping. Hutch needs to start doing something. He's just too honest when it comes to these. I see some edge rushers just egg it a little bit when they get touchdown, etc. But
he needs to ham it up just a little bit. I'm not talking like really bad flops, but just...
remember when like Flowers kept getting screwed with hands to the face and stuff. Remember Bakhtiari just like he'd been struck by Kim Mallet and his head had been knocked backwards. It wasn't that bad, but he oversold. He oversold.
There's a reason why Bakhtiari has spent the last 2.5 years at the lead, and it's the whiplash that Trey Flowers impacted on him. I truly believe that. Looked like he'd been in a car crash.
Would that would right? Okay, would that make it a highlight?
I think so.
Yeah.
We're adding tape even.
The highlight of your NFL career is giving whiplash to an offensive tackle. Well done. Well done. It's all vindicated now. Congrats.
There we go. He's done some good work here. Let's move on to just highlighting some players in terms of ones that did well or badly compared to expectations, or just someone you want to give a shout out to, as we always do. As many as you like. Don't care. We can do this all night. But it was a good day for some and not so good for others. So, Ash, why don't you kick us off with someone you want to shout out either way?
I mean, the Detroit Lions account themselves voiced him as the player of the game, calling him a tone setter. Alex Anzalone. He is one of 7 players in NFL, well, since tackles for loss attracts in 1994 to have 10 plus tackles and 3+ tackles for losses in week 1. That dude, he always seems to do it on like first quarter. I was saying to Matt at the start of the stream, first couple of drives, he's that kind of guy. Then he sort of, because the teams to go away from everyone, go from him, everyone else steps up. But then he was just consistently in the backfield, making tackles, having a really damn good game. And it's nice to see, because I know obviously right now, I think he's coming to end his contract. Barnes comes to end his contract soon. Linebacker room might be a bit of flux, but right now he's just a damn good leader on this defense.
I mean, J-Mo's the first one, first and foremost. Like, finally, this team is using him right. Like, you've got to give. He is the elite playmaker, Jameson Williams. As much as we love Amon-Ra, as much as we love Laporta, all these guys, Jamo's the truly elite one who can tilt a game like that for you with something. And he's versatile. You use him all over the field, and I've been screaming for him to get more touches and use him everywhere. And in this game, we reenacted the jet sweep from the NFC Championship game. He did that again. We gave him screens, we gave him crosses, we took shots downfield to him, giving him touches of the ball, putting the ball in his hands gives him confidence, giving him some yards, getting him into the game, not just keeping him cold blocking all the time and then firing a 60-yard moon ball at him. He is, and this will be the most niche reference in the world ever, but he's the Green Power Ranger. So all the other Power Rangers back in the day, the evil bad guy come along, they spend the entire episode getting their ass kicked. Then they go and find Tommy. Tommy would come out, he'd become the Green Ranger, he'd come in, he'd help them kick their ass. Like, you use him from the beginning. Don't wait till the end of the show to use your Green Ranger and to come and kick the bad guy's ass. Use him at the beginning and kick their ass all game. And that's what we finally did with JMO. We didn't just sit and use him as some special secret weapon to try and hit him downfield. We just kept putting the ball in his hands again and again and again. And how confident did he look? Like, the more we give him the ball, the more confidence he gets, the bigger star he's going to be. He's at, 120 odd yards already. He got more out the back. About 150 yards on the day, I think it was altogether for him. So you keep going at that level. You keep feeding him. He's what makes this offense so great. And yes, I know there is a need for an outside guy as well, but we talk about, what if they stop Amon-Ra? What if they stop Sam Laporta? What if they stop... How many guys do teams have to stop compete? Like, our offense is good. You've got to stop Amon-Ra. You've got to stop Laporta. You've got to stop Monty running over you all the time. You've got to stop... And even then, when you stop all four of those guys, you've got a fifth. You've got to stop JMO. And because they spent so much time and effort going over our guys in the middle, assigning extra guys to them, playing against them, it opens the field for JMO. And when you're using him, that offense becomes so much more dangerous. I don't think there are that many other teams who are going to nullify Amon-Ra and Laporta in a game like they did, whilst keeping our run game in check. Like, these are one of the top guys at doing it because coach-wise, they're one of the best coach teams in the league. So now we've unlocked JMO. If we keep doing this, even without a guy on the outside, whatever, so few defenses are going to be able to stop us. Because if they're going to put a lot of it, if Tampa come up next week, because Tampa know about JMO. JMO's burnt Tampa down the field before, and their DB room is going to be incredibly thin this weekend. So if they're putting extra attention on him to make sure he doesn't hit him downfield, it's going to lighten the box for the run game. It's going to lighten the middle of the field. We're going to be able to use them again. Our offense is now so dynamic. Now we've got JMO up and running. Like, he needs to be given his kudos for this.
That is potentially a peak moment for the show. It's one of the best and most convincing metaphors we've ever had, I think. Like, just, you said it and I was like, that's just 100% right. And it's niche enough that I'm like, this is just really impressive. It's so true. I love it. I absolutely love it.
It is. You watch any Power Rangers episode, Tommy's the one who saves them all.
Someone knew it was the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 31st anniversary 2 weeks ago today. Someone knew that. Yeah,
they. You know what? Absolutely guilty. I love it. I've still got Power Rangers the movie on video, like a video. I've still got the video, but I still watch it from time to time. That is my childhood. We all have something from our childhood nostalgia that we keep watching again and again, no matter how adult-like we get. We always go back to it. Power Rangers is one of my things.
I love it. Right. One of my guys. And I'm going to pick someone who is going to get shat on by everyone else. I'm going to pick someone who has had several beat writers say, stock down. I disagree. Wholeheartedly disagree. I'm picking for one of my guys this week, Terrion Arnold. Playing cornerback is hard in the NFL, especially as a rookie, trying to translate what you do. And we've been given all the hype. We've been told he's going to look like a natural as soon as he steps in there. He had the DPIs. And no matter whether you think they were legit or not, they existed and they were crucial. You take those two plays out of the game, he was an absolute menace. As Ant mentioned earlier, he was targeted frequently and often. I know there's a synonyms, I don't care. And he acquitted himself fantastically. He was exceptionally sticky in coverage. He tackled very, very well. I thought he just competed with some really tough opposition in when Puka was on the field and Carp and whatever. I thought he kept things pretty tight in front of him. And yeah, red zone stuff, not great. But I thought he looked fantastic. And then having passed the eye test, for me, I then had a look at the PFF grades. And I thought, wow, but he's had those 2 DPIs. They're going to absolutely eviscerate him because that is absolutely crucial. And I know what PFF does. If you have those sorts of plays, they think you absolutely shit. And he had a 57.8 grade. He didn't have a 30 grade because he gave up 2 DPIs in the end zone. He had an average grade despite having 2 terrible plays. And it's because for all the other plays he did as a rookie, he was fabulous. And alongside Carlton Davis, who I also thought had a fantastic game, couple of really crucial PBUs, I thought our corners had a great day. And people want to talk about, oh, I hope our secondary, gets better. But we weren't giving up anything over the top, as Ant was talking about in terms of the flat stuff. But we didn't want to give up anything big. And apart from Yak in that 61, 62-yarder, we didn't give up anything over the top. They competed so well, especially in the first half, but pretty much all the way through the game. I thought this was an impressive defensive performance by us. So I thought that Arnold set the tone, and I was really impressed by it.
I mean, I'll fully back you up on that. I mean, the thing is, everyone, standards get set by players, and then everyone expects them to follow. Like, when Satan and Sauce Gardner came into the league and, played really well, everyone's like, oh my God, a first-round pick's got to be as good as those. Let me tell you something. Sauce Gardner has played 34 games in the NFL so far over his first 2 years. And Terrian's played 1. Terrian's already got 1/12 of the targets that Sauce Gardner has against him.
Wow.
Yeah. He's had 120 targets against in 2 years, in over 2 years. In over 2 years. Terrian's already at 12. Nobody targets Sauce. Nobody tests Sauce. It's just because he's there and everyone's like, oh no, but, there's a weakness in that Jets defense and people used to go after it. But, he's getting tested. It's trial by fire. He's working in an entirely new secondary. Branch's position's been moved. Kirby's only in his 3rd year. Amik and Carlton have never played here before. Again, I don't know what people were expecting so early. That people were going off like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing right away. If these guys all reach their ceilings or are in that direction, the vets are playing well and the rookies are developing, yes, they can be good. But you're in week 1 against 2 of the best technically efficient route runners in this league with one of the most clutch quarterbacks in this league. What do you expect?
Yeah.
This is going to be we're on a wide receiver gauntlet for the first 7 weeks. We've got CD Lamb coming. We've got Justin Jefferson coming. We've got, next week.
Chris Godwin,
we've got Chris Godwin, Mike Evans. Mike Evans is going into the Hall of Fame. Chris Godwin is damn good. He's going to have his peaks and troughs, which good corners should. He's not just stood out there and no one's targeting him and everyone's going, oh my God, he's the best of all time. This experience will make him better than Sauce Gardner or somebody like that because it's trial by fire. So I'm with you. I think it's ridiculous. People put too much expectations on them and then they got upset when he didn't meet them in 1 game as a rookie. That's on the fault of those people.
Yeah. Also coming up, Marvin Harrison Jr. in week 3, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett in week 4. Yeah. It's going to be really interesting to see how we do.
It is some of the best wide receivers in the league who are established. And in Metcalf's case, they're bruisers. There's all sorts of guys he's going to come up against. I would say after 6 or 7 weeks, his stat lines, his PFF grades might read really bad. But I tell you what, he will be much better down the line because of it. And his learning curve will go up quick, and you will see the improvements quick, and you will see the grades go up quick because of what he goes through early on. So
Yeah.
I fully agree there.
Tafka Day says Cooper Cup gave Terry and Arnold his props after the game, and that's high praise. And it's not going to just be given freely, that sort of thing. So there we go. Let's have one more each, up or down. I don't really care. Ash, who are you going for?
It's funny we're just talking about a secondary because my other up, and you guys can all guess it because I own his jersey, Kirby. Not just the interception, but I know it's only 1 week, but the improvement in the tackling. Didn't miss a tackle. Had one of had the third highest tackling grade per PFF on the defense with 81.1. For someone who, when coming into the league, great single high safety, can do all the coverage stuff, can go sideline to sideline, but just needed to work on the tackling and run defense. He did it. He didn't miss a tackle, made a good couple of plays, shocking people short in the run game and stuff. Turning into that all-round kind of safety that we need him to be as we move to do more some split safety looks with him and Branch. We can still do the single high stuff as he showed in the end zone by jumping that route and changing what could have been 6 points into a touchback for us. So just a really immense game from him.
And
Levi. Quite simply, Levi. They ran for 83 yards in this game. Kyron Williams, who was a 1,000-yard rusher last year, and this team who could run the ball down well effectively, got nothing. Absolutely nothing against us. And he had to do it on a 2-yard run to get in the box there. But for him to come in and play, about over 50 snaps, given his injury, the run defense was immense. 5 pressures, a sack. He's coming up against one of the best interiors in the NFL. Period. Like Jackson, Avila, and Dotson are one of the best interiors going. And he made them look silly. His power was there. His relentlessness was there. He played a lot of snaps. He kept going and going and going. But when you stop the run game as emphatically as we did, I mean, what the hell do you think this interior is going to be like when DJ Reader's back? Like, our potentially best right now defensive tackle that we have, period. Him, Levi coming through big now means we don't have to rush Reader back. I think Dan Campbell will be sleeping a lot easier going, you know what? If he needs another week, fine. But then what when we're rotating these guys? You're going to spend what?
He's literally said 5 minutes ago he's planning for DJ Reader to be active on Sunday.
But not only that, just talking about what you're saying about not rushing him back or what we can do or whatever. Me and Ash were talking about this at the start of the game yesterday. Even though we play a lot of 4-down linemen, we started yesterday with a 5-man front. Having DJ Reader alongside Aleem and Levi as a 3 in the middle is unbelievable. Yeah.
But you can rotate them and keep them fresh. Like, you're going to have one man who's always rested now. And now that the more you trust Levi to do it, like, can you imagine doing a full drive against Levi and Aleem and then, like, I've got to go out there again. Oh, it's DJ Reader who's, like, not played yet. And then, like, oh, DJ Reader's out. Thank for that. Who's back? Oh, God, Aleem's just had a drive's rest. There are not many interiors. Like, is it the best interior in the NFL? I'd argue there's not many better than those 3. I know they were sort of mucking around a dodgy line and whatnot, and the edge just got out. But the fact that he did so well against such high quality opposition,
for sure.
Yeah,
like our interior is going to be nasty when Reader's healthy, so he's got to get props for that. Just where he's come back from and how well he did. Like, that should be that's comeback player of the year if he carries on like that. Don't care about anything. He should be for what he has come back from. That's what that award is designed for.
Yeah, especially given with Levi that it's not just, he got injured for 1 year and now he's come back like
an injury.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This time last year, it was like, can we risk having him on the 53 because what if he relapses?
A D lineman with a fused spine, like the one thing he really needs. He needs a spine. I mean, we all do, but
a player they were
his job really well.
A player they were literally having to keep weight off of because he couldn't physically sustain it because of the injury. That's just like, holy shit.
And this is why, and this is going off on a complete tangent here, but people who are skeptical about some of Brad's picks, etc., and they've not developed right away. And that the fact is, they'll get there. Every single one of them will get there. And I know it's one game and it's very early, but this is what he drafted. Like, this is the Levi we were hoping to have, what, maybe a year ago, who was sort of here at this point now and was going into this year and was going to get a big fat paycheck. But that is who he drafted. And if he turns into what we drafted him for, man, we're stacked at the position for years and years and years. So, just keep patience with all the others. Some take a longer road to get there. We've just been blessed that so many have hit it right from the get-go. But with Sorsdals, with Martin, with all these guys, you just have patience because there is a plan there.
So my last guy, and we talked about Montgomery already, so I'm just saying that that's already been said. Like, I'm going to gloss over that because it's too obvious. The guy that needs a shout out for me is the one that we basically, all of us, but I think Ant probably leading the charge on it, saying he needs to show us it in game. Marcus Davenport did that. I know that it was against backup tackles, but he absolutely terrorised them alongside Aidan Hutchinson. Now, he didn't get home very much. He got himself his half sack, but 6 pressures, thought he held up well in run defence. Just thought he was an absolute menace. Go and do it again. Want to keep seeing it. But for a first outing, especially with someone that I was kind of hoping we'd rotate a little bit more than we did because I want to keep him fresh, he did 49 snaps on defense, and I thought he looked fantastic. So, well done. Stay healthy for a season and keep doing it. But you deserve some props for what you did last night.
I feel like we need to give a special team shout out to Bates as well. As far as I'm aware, hit everything, didn't foul up on any of the kickoffs.
Nope. Exactly. He hit the knuckleball and hit it at the 20.
Yeah.
Perfectly.
Yeah. But, like, again, that was his first NFL game in front of a rabid crowd. I mean, even that chip shot to take it to overtake. Can you imagine? He's not been under pressure like that in his life. I guarantee every other kick he's made in his life, the pressure from all those put together is not more than that one kick he made.
And not so much circumstances, but the distance that pretty much exact to the kick he missed against Pittsburgh.
Exactly. So that's going to be, you talk about how a guy's got it mentally. That's, I feel like just to finish that off, he needs just his little shout out. Nothing spectacular, but in the pressure situation, as clutch as you want. So it's a good first week from him. But there's one last question I've got about it. It's like the burning question I've wanted to ask. How did the long snapper look?
One bad snap for that last field goal. Fox sort of had to adjust it.
I called it instantly on but it's so obvious if you're looking for it. But the game tying field goal was a bad snap, like as in Fox had to extend out to grab it. But can you imagine? Can you imagine if the snap was bad and we missed and lost because of it? I would never have heard the end of it.
I'd have heard your pain.
It would have been Trey Flowers all over again.
You're not the one who has to wear his jersey from now on.
Sorry.
So it's not like we'd put it on Ash like the dunce hat in a corner. Like, you've been an idiot. You've got to put the long snapper jersey on. Like, you've got to go in a corner.
That's excellent.
As for Davenport, though, did he not get the shout out for him? But did he not look injured at one point? I am really concerned that he's hurt his ankle again because he was limping a lot of that game.
I didn't see that personally, but
he was limping during that game. So be healthy next week and do that again, and then we'll talk.
Fair. Right, let's move on to the rest of week 1, and we've got Monday Night Football coming up. We've got Jets 49ers coming, and it's the absolute beasts in the conference versus an absolute self-obsessed motherfucking twat. So, who do we want to win? Do we want the AFC team to win and have that narcissist have smoke blown up his ass by ESPN, or do we want Brock Purdy to come out with a victory? What do you think?
We want the 49ers to lose. I don't care about Aaron Rodgers anymore. He's gone. Be done with him. Let him have his moment. Let them cream all over it. Fine, whatever. As long as 49ers lose. So in fantasy, I'm down 13 points and I've got Breece Hall and Deebo Samuel to come. So as long as one of those has a day... Oh, and I've got Jake Moody as well. So...
Oh, you're fine. No problem.
As long as one of them has a day, I don't care. But Deebo can get 200 yards and still lose. But like we're playing the numbers game here. We want San Francisco. We've beaten the Rams. Like let's have these playoff guys lose. Keep losing. We want 1 seed. What did he say? We're already up to 14% chance to get the 1 seed. So, like, let's just... The San Francisco loss tonight would increase those odds. Like, nobody else but.
Ash, any thoughts about Monday Night Football?
Well, number one, can Aaron Rodgers' head get even any bigger than the fact that Netflix have announced today they're doing a 3-part documentary on him? Definitely not be watching that. But yeah, I want the Jets to win. And there's a particular player on defense who will probably be getting a lot of snaps
JJ.
JJ. Yeah, because Reddick is not playing. That means we've got JJ is going to tear Brock Purdy a new one. Please. Especially please. But yeah, 49ers to lose because at this point, Aaron Rodgers on the other side of the conference. I know currently at this point, as of right now, the last person to catch a pass from him was Kirby. And it's going to be sad to see that go over. It's been 610 days since that incident, and we're finally going to have someone else catch a pass from him. Probably. Sad to see that record go, but yeah, just don't care about Aaron Rodgers anymore until we face him in the Super Bowl, if we ever do, which the media kind of wants to happen, I guess. But then he's returning home. It's the prodigal son coming home to his daddy.
Can we talk about his old team? Can we?
Yes.
Go on then.
The Packers suck.
But also, I think the Packers are done for the season. I think that Jordan Love is out long enough with an injury which is going to hamper him even when he comes back, that they are in big, big trouble when they drop this game. Because really, they lost this game in a bad way. Even though Barkley was terrific, it was a shit game. It was an exciting game, but it wasn't high quality. And I just got to think that, I mean, whether you start Malik Willis or Sean Clifford, I'm hanging myself if I'm a Green Bay fan.
I want them to sign Tannehill. Just for the lols. Then we can play against them and show them that Jared Goff's better. Just for all those years. But I don't know. One of the things that was noticeable to me, Josh Jacobs is not Aaron Jones. Like, Aaron Jones is a Packer through and through. Like, we've shown with our culture here, like, you want players who are part of your culture. Josh Jacobs, good running back. Really good running back. But Aaron Jones was a Packer and a really good running back. It feels
so
like
much
they're
of a
missing...
Packer that we respected him.
Yeah.
Even if we hated him.
Oh God, yeah! Like Aaron Jones has absolutely eviscerated us over the years, but he truly has that team at his heart, at its front and center, and it just doesn't feel the same with Josh Jacobs in there. Like they've gotten worse. Love looked all right. Some bad throws though. Like he's gonna go through a dodgy sophomore year, even when he's back. But you know, I thought that, you know, Jaden Reed looked really good. I'm glad Michigan State, man, wants Spartans to do well. Like, he looked down. I mean, he was averaging like 40 yards a reception, which was crazy. And he is really good. But I just wasn't impressed by them. But I wasn't overtly impressed by the Eagles either. I feel like they won because the Packers were bad, not because the Eagles were good. Don't know whether anyone disagrees, but...
No, I don't disagree. But Barkley was terrific. He's worth every penny. And if the Eagles win that division, it will be because of him.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being a Giants fan? You sat there watching DJ.
You just say, could you just imagine being a Giants fan and left it at that, and we would have laughed?
You'd be there drinking, wouldn't you? Just be like,
never mind being a Giants fan. What about being a Falcons fan? I know. And you were really high on the Steelers, but My words, you put 3 top 10 picks and skill positions on your offense. You put together an offensive line, which is probably a top 5 unit at this point, and you install Kirk Cousins, who, for his flaws, is a hyper-efficient, high-production quarterback and has
Not
been for
anymore.
his entire career. He scored 10 fucking points.
He's 36.
I mean, yeah.
He's 36 coming off a major injury. Like, he was never... Like, that is one of the worst... We talk about QB contracts being bad. There's Deshaun Watson, there's Daniel Jones, and then there's probably, you know, Kirk Cousins.
Coco Chains.
Chains is... I'll tell you why I picked Pittsburgh to win that. Because Pittsburgh have grit. Atlanta are a flashy team who've bought a lot of flashy toys, but they don't have the bottle. So, you know, Steelers for all their troubles, because what was it? They had punts all game, field goals all game, no offensive touchdowns to win the game, but the D-line was just, I mean, JJ's.
Yeah.
We say that Hutch gets held often. They literally mount JJ. Like, it's a guy round his legs and a guy round him, and it doesn't get called. Like, it's because they were showing things. He's so quick off the snap that even refs are fooled into thinking it's a neutral zone infraction when it's not.
Yeah.
But like the calls made against him are insane. But in the trenches, they went and beat a team who are flashy. Trenches will 90% of the time beat flashy if the flashy team don't have the bottle behind it, which is why I picked them to do it. And Fields looked good, efficient, not great, but I mean, he was fairly. I think he hit about 75% of his passes, didn't he? They ran the ball all right. They just needed to do what they needed to do. But the Falcons they're on fraud alert now. Like that NFC South, I'm more and more convinced it's the Bucs now. Like the Bucs are by far the best team.
I mean, so shall we talk? I mean, not to spoil the preview coming on Thursday, but how impressive Baker Mayfield was.
Yeah.
I mean, especially with just the offensive coordinator changing and everything like that. Oh, well, are they going to regress because he was the one that got the best out of Baker? I mean, Baker just needed a team to believe in him. He's settled. He's got the bag. He's on the Geno Smith contract. Who would you rather have? I mean, Baker is top 6 NFC quarterback, but it won't take him long to breach that top 5. And then, you know, I mean, the sky's the limit for them if they can stay healthy, but that's going to be their problem.
So I think Baker's, I'm not going to say it's like Goff because that's a cheap comparison, but Baker he's got the mental resilience that you want in a quarterback. Like, there are a lot of, like Daniel Jones has no mental resilience in his life whatsoever. It's like, well, you know, these guys are just, they're almost resigned to the fact that they're done and they're just seeing things out. Baker, for all his troubles, I think it's taken him a long time to develop. And of course, he's got the #1 pick tagged to him too. And everyone expects them to be generational, but he's got the mental resilience required to be a quarterback in this league. And he's repeatedly shown, even in small things, like his stint with the Rams, he showed that he was it. Like everywhere he's been, the amount of times, think how many offensive coordinators he's had. Think how many scheme changes he's had. Think how many, like, even to playing in climate and stuff like that. There's a big difference between playing where he does and where he is now. He's probably had the biggest upheaval of everybody, and yet still he continues to be a really good quarterback. And he's an example of why you don't give up on a quarterback so easily. I think the Browns gave up on him. The Browns took the shiny toy, not the hardworking, gritty man. And for the Browns need a Jared Goff. Because like us, not somewhere where a flashy guy's going to go and do flashy things. Deshaun Watson is, quite frankly, a disgrace to the league, the way he plays. He is quite obviously downed tools and can't be arsed. And I give it 2 weeks before he's got shoulder soreness and he's out for the year. But Baker's like Goff. He's a fighter. And he's a good quarterback. And he will take a good team far. He might not win games on his own, but you can hit him as many times as you want, he'll get back up. You can't knock him out a game. Like, it just looks silly for the Browns now, right? He was quite obviously a Browns quarterback, and the Browns didn't see that.
Any other takeaways from this weekend you guys want to discuss before we get out of here?
I mean, AFC not as good maybe as we think. I mean, Texans didn't look good. The Bills didn't look good. Bengals sure as hell didn't look good. I would argue the NFC is looking a little better this year from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't disagree. Dolphins
it's-
looked awful.
Yeah, Dolphins awful. You know, like Chiefs and the Ravens took lumps out. They look good. They look like the two front runners in there. I would struggle to tell you who the third team in the AFC was right now. Like, who's the one going after them two? I don't know. Like, it's tough. There were a lot of sloppy mistakes this week. It really felt like a week one.
Yeah, it did.
But there's no one I'm unduly worried about. Like going for the NFC North, there's no one I'm unduly worried about.
I know that they were going up against the Panthers, but we didn't see a lot of Derek Carr doing what he did yesterday last year. The fact that he could put on a performance like that has kind of given me hope that he might show some of his... Oh, what season was it? 2016 Raiders form? Was it 2016?
Yeah, where he broke his leg on the last, in the last second to last game. They just missed the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean it wasn't a huge performance, but it just didn't need to be. 19 of 23 for 203 touchdowns with no picks. I thought he looked after the ball, was efficient, and just did what was required. And he's the most frustrating quarterback in the league, potentially, because when you watch him, when he's on, he's a beautiful player to watch when he's in rhythm. But he's not unlike Jared Goff, but I think he struggles to find his rhythm more than Jared Goff does, and he's a rhythm quarterback. So, yeah, that was nice to see on a side point, because I kind of, even though I don't want the Saints to be rewarded for the way they've gone about building their roster, I still just have a slight liking for them, generally.
What a flip in your opinion of the move for the 24 hours. Because what did we say before the start of yesterday? The Saints right now are the 2015-16 Lions. Perennially not. They're going to be perennially
9-8.
And not 9-8. Maybe flirting with a wild card spot, but never going to be better than that.
Yeah, well, they probably are going to be better than that, but
they're just in a terrible. You can't tell. You've got to get them out of conference first to see.
Yeah, see
just
exactly
how
what
good they are, because the Panthers are not the meter stick here. I mean, would it be hyperbole? Like, you think of all the games you've seen this week and everyone's played, would it not be hyperbole to say the Buccaneers were the best team of everybody?
Maybe the Cowboys, but yes, otherwise.
I thought the Cowboys got no offense in the second half whatsoever. Like, they just completely shut off against the Browns.
But they were up 20-3 at the half, and then they got further in front.
I just think the Browns were bad. Yeah, but how bad was Watson? I'm
Watson
not sure. Against the opposition they were against, I feel like the Commanders looked all right. Like, they didn't look as bad as they have. I felt like the Bucks were the best team in week one altogether out of everybody.
Yeah,
I thought there were a lot of performances.
I thought Jaden Daniels looked pretty good.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It wasn't it funny though. They said there were three rookie quarterbacks, right? Caleb, Bo Nix, and Jaden. Not one touchdown pass thrown between all three of them. Not one. That's the nature of it. It's tough.
Thank God for rushing touchdowns though, because I put Daniels in over Prescott in one of my leagues.
Wow, big call.
It worked. Got more points.
Well, you've got that's it. You've got the dual threat ability. You get Washington in the 10-yard line. Good chance Jaden Daniels will take it in. Yeah. Having a Washington running back's not a good thing for fantasy this year. They will not get the touchdowns. They'll get yards, but not get touchdowns.
All right, I think we're going to call that a show, gents, unless you have anything else.
I don't think so.
No. All right, we'll call it there. Our next show is the College Football Podcast, going to be looking back at week 2 and looking ahead to week 3. Main podcast is going to be back, we think, on Thursday with the Bucks preview. We've got a really good relationship with the Bucks UK. They have been very generous with their time over the years with us. We've got a really good contact there. I'm pretty sure he confirmed to us that you should be able to make that show. So if you want to hear one of the best previews, you should see that on Thursday. And the Bucks UK, just a word on them. They celebrated, I think it was yesterday, their 40th anniversary as a fan club, which, considering how long the NFL has been big in the UK, I think it's the longest tenured fan club in the UK. It's really well supported, and I absolutely love it, especially for what is a relatively new franchise still. So, super impressive, and the guests will be impressive too. So, do check out that show. What?
Can you imagine if we want to top that? We've just got 36 more years of badass jokes to go.
Oh,
Can you imagine getting this like, we made it?
I mean, you say that as if not. If not, I have not left you a perfect meme template in your Twitter mentions.
Oh, what, the picture of you in the DoorDash?
Yeah,
The dash cam. Yeah, that is interesting.
Right. Find us on Real Lives UK on our socials: YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You'll find Ash's cut-ups of our live feeds on our TikTok. It's good stuff to go and have a look at that. And the group for worldwide fans is Detroit Lions Fans UK, One Pride Worldwide. Ryan Farden, of course, was on the sideline for this game. There's been lots of good pictures going up on that Facebook group, so do go and check that out. Just remains to me to thank my co-hosts, Anthony Fitzpatrick, Ashley Soden. Cheers, boys, and thank you for everyone in the chat for listening to us. We'll see you later in the week, but for now, 1-0 and unbeaten. Let's go, Lions, One Pride.
One Pride.
Fuck the Packers.
Whee.